one pastor said there's no such thing as a one night stand.
No, it's not.
No, because you connected with that person.
No.
You
Yeah.
so now you laying with 20 people. You done laid with not just them 20 people, but all the other people they done laid with, and you
Yeah.
have bound yourself to that person. And like it's just scary when you say something like I sucked the soul out or I got the body count. So yeah, you do have a body count. So when you finally marry your wife, you and all them 50 bodies is in the bed with her.
What's up with you? What it is and what it do? Welcome to the second episode of Adjustments. I'm your host, Justmic, and this pod is sponsored by the Bookkeeper 24/7. That's at tbk247.com. So, if this is your first time watching Adjustments, I appreciate you. If you checked out the first episode, I appreciate you even more. Real talk. So, on this one right here, I'm going to set out this little disclaimer that we are going to be talking about some sexual topics. We're going to be going over sexual immorality in this one. So, if you have kids in the room, I'm asking you to maybe put this pod away and come back to it at a later time when it's just you, when it's just the adults, when it's people that need to hear these things and not our children, not our little ones. Because we're going to be going over, like I said, we're going to be going over these topics and we're going to be transparent. We're going to be giving our experiences. We're going to be talking about the thorns in our flesh and the things that maybe sometimes can be rough to get through, and that's why we look to Jesus. That's why we look to our Savior for that victory that we need. So that's the disclaimer. Now let's get into it. I can't wait to introduce y'all to our guest on this pod right here. This is my brother. This is our family at the Bookkeeper right here. Some of y'all know him and some of y'all might. And if you don't know him, you definitely need to get in tune with him. Real talk. He's a special man, a special Christian artist. He keeps good music and keeps good music that sparks conversation. Our brother, Dezzy Yates. What's up, bro?
Justmic, what's up? Let's go.
Man, let's go, dog. So thank you, man. Thank you for being the guest on the pod, bro.
Of course, man. Thank you for inviting me. I'm definitely privileged. I've been thinking about the pod since you asked me about it, and just like, man, I can't wait to be able to share what God has.
That's right, man. I can't wait for you to share it with the people also. And just to give you guys a rundown, I asked Dezzy to do this pod because he's a strong, bold man, and he has a testimony that truly can touch anybody that has struggled with these things that we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see how you overcame those things and how you still out here, going for Christ and letting people know what Christ has did for you has just really been major for me.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
man. So that's why I asked you to be on this pod specifically, And some of y'all might, just go ahead and put it out there. Me and Dezzy, we got a cool, nice little relationship outside of this.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he done hit me up at low moments. Sometimes he's been a brother that I felt comfortable confessing to when I needed to, and I hope I've been that brother for you as well.
You have, bro. Trust me. It's been some days where it's like, man, let me hit up Mike. And then it's like God always works it out. Or you'll hit me up. And it's just amazing how the Holy Spirit works.
Yeah, for sure, bro. And like we just said before we started, it be them times you be hitting me up and be like, man, I do not want to talk to this guy. I want to be weak to my flesh. Why is he hitting me up right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's dope, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It's definitely the Holy Spirit moving,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like I said on the intro, we're going to be talking about sexual immorality on this one right here.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna be talking about some serious things, some serious topics.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't heard Dezzy's testimony, he's gonna give it on this pod right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and thank you, bro, for being willing and being just strong enough to share your testimony on
Wow,
it.
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So, anybody listening, anybody out there that's dealing with these things or have had some trauma like what Dezzy's had, here goes a brother that you can tune into and definitely feel that somebody's out there with you. You're not alone, and we definitely understand. So, Dezzy, if you could, my brother, go ahead, take the floor, and just let the people know your testimony that doesn't know.
All right, like Mike said, my name is Dezzy. I'm from Columbus, Georgia. It's like an hour and a half away from Atlanta. And so I grew up in a military town. And just straight off the bat, my mom and my dad were divorced when I was young. So like my mom and my dad were married. My dad was in the military. They got a divorce when I was barely 1 years old. And then my mom ended up getting with my stepfather. And I'm not too sure if maybe that may have played a part in it, but you can start to see where like the enemy was already causing issues and problems that early in my life. And so by the time I get to about 5 years old is the first time I got exposed to things sexually. So I was 5 years old, I was in kindergarten, and I remember that there were kids that used to take other kids into the bathroom and they would do different sexual things to one another. And we're talking oral, we're talking whatever we knew how to do back then. And I was born in 91, so this is like 96, 97-ish. And so it was really hush, like hush hush.
Right.
Parents kind of had an idea something was going on, but nobody wanted to say anything. And so immediately what got me as a kid was, one, I'm light skinned. So I go to school, I'm like the lightest kid that's there.
Yeah.
And so I'm the lightest kid that's there. And most of the kids I hung out with, yeah.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm the lightest kid that's there, and most of the kids I hung out with, obviously they're a little bit darker than I am. So I guess that kind of played a part into it. I'm not too for sure. But, like, oh, he a light-skinned boy. So what really messed me up was that it wasn't just girls, it was boys and girls.
Right.
And so it was boys and girls, and there were kids of different ages. So it was like kindergarten kids I went to school with, but then it was also like second and third graders. And the school I went to at the time had sixth graders in it. So this is before they switched it and they put the sixth graders in junior high and middle school. And so we would meet after school, or we would meet in the bathroom, and we would kind of do things with each other. And it felt good. I didn't understand why my body responded to it. I just know it felt good. My mom had talks with me about how inappropriate touches, but in my mind, I was like, how can it be inappropriate and be bad if it feels good?
Right.
And so I'm 5 years old, getting touched on by like kids and boys and girls, and my body's responding to it. Now, I've always liked girls. I've always thought girls was cute, but I was kind of confused because I was like, why is my body responding the same way as when a girl touches me?
Yeah.
So maybe, do I like boys? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't think boys is cute, but why is my body responding this way?
Right.
And so this kept going on from like fifth, like 5, 6, 7. There were also family members. Now, just respective of them, because I haven't had this conversation with them face to face, and I don't know if they're ready. I'm not going to mention what type of family member it was, but there are family members that were also doing things with me during the summertime. And so so not only was it happening during school, it's happening during the summer. So I'm being exposed sexually, and I'm seeing sexual acts, and I'm performing these things as a kid, and it's shaping my brain. And then it doesn't help that, this, like I said, this is the 90s, so this is no internet, no nothing. But like we had late HBO on TV, and so my mom and my dad would fall asleep, and then HBO would come on, and they would have Real Sex and other TV shows that would come on. And I would see this. And then my dad had a collection of like pornography magazines. And so I didn't understand what was happening. I just knew that my body's responding to it. And why am I liking this?
Yeah.
Why does this, what's happening? So my mom kind of had an idea something was going on. But the way things was dealt with, especially in the African American community, they just gonna beat you half to death, and so it was like that's it. So like I was that, and what that did was it made me scared because I was like, I don't want to tell my mom what's going on because she's gonna stop me from visiting my family. Yeah. Because I still want to see my family members, and then she may tell me to stay away from my friends, and these people are my friends, and I don't want to lose that. So I started developing a very bad lying habit. And so it was, I would just say weird, whatever I could. I was willing to take a spanking. I was willing to take a beating just to get my mama to go away. And I started lying to teachers. And this is also around the time where I started acting out at school. And for attention, because what I didn't know at the time, I'm 5 years old. My body and my brain does not know what's going on, and it can't process this, and it's trying to figure out what's happening. So by the time I get to like 8 years old in third
Uh-huh.
grade,
Yeah.
um, mind you, like I said, I'm the lightest kid in school. My mom's white, my dad's black, and that started to play a factor in my life too. So
Mm.
I used to get picked on. Like, my mom was white, my dad's black, and the same kids who used to pick on me about my skin color, about my mom, they were the kids who used to take me to the bathroom and used to do stuff with me.
Right.
So
Uh-huh.
it confused me, because I
Yeah.
was like, you're making fun of me, but why are you still wanting to do stuff with me? Like,
Yeah.
you're picking. So I immediately, I didn't understand. I thought something was wrong with me, and then this idea of transactional doing stuff just to make people happy just kind of started developing. Like, okay, I'm only good enough to be used for something. And
Yeah.
then I would say, when I was about third or fourth grade, when the internet, we had got the internet at house, and then
Mm-hmm.
my friends started telling me about adult websites at school. And then my
Mm-hmm.
dad had adult magazines, and that's when pornography came into the picture.
Yeah.
And so all I saw was a grown-up version of what I was already doing.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I was like, immediately, I knew something wasn't right, but it was captivating, because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
they can do this? Like,
Right.
what? Like, I didn't know you could do that. And so
Yeah.
then we was into like cartoons and stuff, and they had cartoon versions of it. It was all kind of different things. And
Yeah.
as an 8 year old, I didn't know how to process this or what's going on. So
Yeah.
this is like my little dirty secret I kept. We started going to church at the time. So
Mm.
we was going to church, and I'm starting to have an idea of who God is, and
Yeah.
I'm starting to have an idea of who Jesus is. But
Yeah.
there's still this compartmentalized part of my life where I kept it secret and I didn't tell
So,
anybody.
I mean, so starting off at an early age, you're dealing with sexual spirits, sexual sin, the fear, the trauma from it, and the trauma from having the fear from your mom. So you're trying to cover it all up. You're already starting off in darkness.
Mhm.
And then you start going to church. And so some light being brought to you somewhat.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I mean, it sounds like it's definitely a confusing time that you were going through as you were still developing.
Mhm. This is all
Yeah.
before puberty too. Like, this is before, and so then when puberty hit, so,
Mm-hmm.
so next thing you know, all these hormones and all these feelings, and then all this stuff starts rushing in. So now I'm
Yeah.
depressed. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm anxious. Now I
Yeah.
have this drive, and then
Yeah.
now I'm watching pornography on a regular basis, and now
Yeah.
I start masturbating to it, and now I'm like, all these different things are happening, and I'm crying, I'm depressed, I'm struggling with like unaliving myself. All
Mm,
these different things I couldn't understand as a kid, and it
mm,
stemmed from when it happened to me when I was 5. So middle
right.
school, I'm going through it. You know, I'm wrestling with me being different.
Yeah.
Um, I'm the little anime cartoon kid, drawing Pokemon pictures and stuff. So I'm
Mm,
getting picked on for that. But then also I got this deep secret that I'm hiding from people,
yeah.
and it was like it just weighed on me. And
Yeah.
so
And
it
see, man, not to cut you off, I
oh, you're good. No,
apologize.
you're good.
And see, I mean, I definitely understand where you're coming from because my background is kind of the same, over sexualized at a young age, and that
Mhm.
was something that I wanted to I put down as a topic. So same thing with me, man. You remember House? Remember playing House,
Oh yeah,
which is
yeah, house and doctor and all that.
all of that. So playing House, 5, 6 years old, but yeah, and as I got older, it's a little tough now, man. I thought, but as I got older, man, my sister used to have all these old dudes in the house. Some of them was from 13 to literally 21, 22 years old.
Mhm.
And these is, They selling weed, they selling dope, all of that right there. So that's how I got introduced to porn real heavy. That's how I got introduced to sex real heavy. Was them
Mm-hmm.
cats being in the house. And so they used to, they used to smoke blunts with me, give me flicks just so I wouldn't give me porn, just so I wouldn't tell my mom. And it's people back home where I'm from in Tennessee, they probably see this and be like, "Yo, Mike used to have a big stash of porn," because that was a thing. That was from probably about 9, 10 years old on up. So of course I'm watching all of this porn. Of course I want to act it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to act it out with other girls in the neighborhood, trying to act it out with playing house and doctor and everything like that. So it's definitely just one of those things where as we're young, we have these secrets like what you was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and what was going on with me, and drugs was involved, with me as well. The weed, alcohol, from the time I was 10 years old on up to really just about 5, 6 years ago. And so, you know, as I'm just watching this porn and being over sexualized, and I'm trying to act it out, and it's I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You spilled your truth, I'm gonna spill my truth. So yeah, neighborhood boy, older kid, coming around and touching me in the wrong way, and we trying to act out this porn that we're looking at and that we're watching, and it's definitely something that's confusing to a child, and it's definitely something that we don't like to really talk about and
Come
get
on now.
out there. You're right, and so we just keep going in our teenage years with this fear, and
Mm-hmm.
we think we have put it to bed, but it's always there, like just creeping and lurking. And so I feel like that's why it's important for us to be able to talk about these things and let people know that these things is real. These things is really
Very
happening.
real.
Yeah,
So,
with us being over sexualized so young, now fast forward, we're walking with Christ,
mm-hmm.
and so how has that been the thorn in your flesh, as Paul says in scripture, everything, all of that trauma,
Mm-hmm.
how has that, impacted your walk, as you're trying to live righteously and live holy? How's it impacted you, man?
Man, I'm thankful that you asked that. Firstly, I want to say thank you for sharing, because I know how tough that is, and it's
Yeah.
hard. And I think that especially as black men, being able to do that is dope. And I pray that whoever hears your testimony, hear you speaking on that, are encouraged by that, because it's tough.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah,
man,
it really was. Don't too many people know that right there. I told my sister about it. And my mom don't know about it. So if my mama watch this, man, that's gonna be a phone conversation. But I mean, that's the truth, man. That's what porn can lead you to. That's what happens. We get desensitized.
come on now.
We get desensitized, and then as you keep watching it and keep watching it, you have this urge to act it out.
That's exactly
But
right.
yeah, so but we'll get farther into that, as we keep going. But I just want to make sure that we let people know also that how this affects our walk with Christ, whether it be
Yes.
good or bad. So I'm gonna let you take the wheel on that one.
All right. So when I first got saved, it was 2012.
Okay.
So I have been going to church all the way up until about that time, and I had an idea with God, and I had experiences with God, but a full surrender wasn't until then. So like I
Right.
had met my wife at the time, and so I was doing secular music and had a manager and all that. And so it for me that was a very significant time, because that yes meant so much, because I let so much go. And it was around 2013 where I really started to be open about the abuse that happened to me. That's actually how what led to salvation for me was my wife confessed to me that she was abused as well. We were on the
Okay.
phone talking to each other. She was the first person I confessed to about that, and it just was like it like the floodgates were open. And so then the Lord started to minister to her to deal with me, and I was like, okay, Lord, I'm ready to surrender to you. And then at the same time, I was listening to like Bizzle at the time. I was listening to like, Lecrae and all them and their music, and what they were doing was ministering to me, and it was just like Lord was wooing me. And so I started to confess, I started to walk in it. But and retrospectively looking back, I realized that there are things that it wasn't a complete full surrender like I thought it was. It was a yes to him, and it was a yes, but it wasn't. I didn't let everything go. There was still some stuff there that God was trying to do. So when I started doing CHH, Christian hip hop music, in around 2014, 2015, I was sharing my testimony about my music, and I was sharing my testimony about this stuff. And so I grew up a super legalistic, like Pentecostal, like, you know, you gonna go to hell if you fart. Like that's pretty much what's going on. And so
Dang, bruh.
and so like everything was this and like this and that, and I was scared of God and just having a healthy relationship with him and understanding what's going on. And so the Bible talks about putting away sexual sin and all those things. So I did that. Like I put away certain things and dealt with it. But what I didn't understand was God just didn't want me to put that away. He was trying to get to the root of what's going on. And like I was like a masterful, I knew how to lie, I knew how to cover stuff up. So it was like putting it away was easy.
Yeah.
But letting God get in and do the root work was hard. And so what happened was, and how I guess you could say the thorn was, for about 2012, it was like no pornography use, no no nothing, no anything like that. Like I guess you could say I put it away cold turkey. There were urges that was there.
Yeah.
I dealt with some night terrors at times. Like I dealt with like reenactments of what happened to me as a kid. My brain is processing this and everything. What I didn't know at the time was actually like PTSD. I didn't understand that. Like my brain is still processing this. And so bro, like, okay, so because I ain't trying to dump on the culture, but like what happened was it's 2014, 2015. I started being vocal about my testimony. I made some songs on my first mixtape about me being molested, abused, pornography use, and I was open about it, even, and some of the church didn't receive it well, and they rejected it, and then there were even CHH outlets that rejected it and told me no. And
word,
bro, yes, I don't want to say no names. I'll tell you, one of the only people that covered it was Track Stars, so shouts out to them. And they weren't afraid, they didn't shy away. But there were other CHH outlets that either ghosted me, they didn't want to cope, because I was very open about my testimony. I wasn't like nasty explicit, but I talked about it.
And see, just me still kind of being new in this space, and still, like I'm going on like my third year of actually like being in a church. I see this problem, and it's like the world is more comfortable talking about these things than the church is. They put, it's like I'll include myself. I'm part of the church. I'm part of the body now.
Yep, we are.
It's like we'll bring out porn, and we'll definitely talk about homosexuality, but everything that goes along with it, we run from, and we don't get to the, like you said, we don't get to the root to it. So and it's all these secrets that's being told, and it's all these things that, because we read in the scripture how a man should be, we read in the scriptures how a woman should be, but we see something different, within the building. And it's like, and I'm just sitting back as a new convert, let me put that out there. I'm not a pastor, I'm not a teacher. This pod is not about that. This pod is about us expressing ourselves in hopes that our transparency can help other people be transparent.
Mhm.
But I'm seeing what's going on inside of the building, and a lot of times, and I'm not talking about my church either, but and a lot of times what's going on inside of the building between men and women and how they interact together and or how they don't interact whatsoever, it's not adding up,
Bro, come on.
to
I'm
what I'm
telling you.
reading. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I mean, so to hear you say that some people shied away from it,
Bro, they
I'm
pushed me away, bro. Like they
I'm
keep
not
getting me.
I'm not surprised, but at the same time, I'm like, why is that? Why is it like that?
I literally got told I couldn't come back to a church. Like
What?
I'm so serious. Like they invited me out and I shared my testimony. I rapped my songs and I just gave my testimony raw because that's the only way I know it. The same way you would get. And I was like, I was told through the grapevine like I couldn't come back. That my stuff was too much. My music was too much. It was too. They couldn't post it because it was too explicit. And what that did for me, that was one of my biggest fears of telling people was that there was going to be a rejection. Like I'm gonna tell people about what happened to me, and
Yeah,
then immediately like the enemy was like, see, I
yeah,
told you. And
yeah,
it sowed those seeds of discord, and
yeah.
I didn't know it at the time, but that's what ended up happening. And so
And see, man, that's why, like, as we talked about us as kids, I'm glad that we talked about that first because that's what we did before we came to God. We
mhm,
kept all of that secret. We kept it in
mhm,
the dark. We didn't bring it to the light. We didn't have right, you know, counsel and right, people with us that we felt comfortable going to when those things was happening. And
mhm,
so, that's we shouldn't operate like that.
bro.
Being the church, we should have accountability.
Mhm. It hurt like to know that
I'm sorry that you went through that,
it's
dog.
I'm not even gonna hold you and tell you, but it was so bad. I didn't know how bad it hurt me
Yeah,
until we ended up moving out here to Phoenix because that's where we live at now. And so the going back to the whole thorn. So at the time, so even post that, I'm still going hard, but a part of me is upset and bitter because I'm like, man, I'm sharing my testimony. And for me, the music was more intimate because I'm sharing my testimony with the music. So
yeah.
when you reject the music, it feels like you're rejecting me
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm hurt because I'm like, okay, this is the music, this is my testimony, and this is the very first time I've ever told anybody anything. And so now I'm being open for the first time on music and sharing to you. And for you to reject that, I feel like you're rejecting me, and then that made me feel like, okay, maybe Jesus don't love me, and
Mm,
because I was like, all right, and so that's when I started kind of at first feeling them inclinations to kind of run back. But it was like my wife prayed for me. I had people that were there for me, that were praying for me, that were like, no, like we need to stay the path. So I would say going up through 2020 when we first moved out here to Phoenix,
yeah.
this is when like I realized I never got that proper healing that I needed. It was like the Bible says when we get saved, our spirit gets saved, but our soul is constantly being saved and our flesh will be saved. It was like, man, me and my wife got out here in the middle of a pandemic. We moved, we believe we got called, which I still do. God has shown me. But we come out here, all this stuff is happening. We just had a new baby, and man, it was like I ended up caving and like ended up feeling the pressures. I had no support system. All my
Mm,
support system was back at home. So all the people I talked to, friends and all that, we didn't get a chance to get plugged into our new church yet.
mm,
And it was like bro porn. It was like one
mm.
day just crashing, crying, finding some way to numb. And it's like what started off as like a subtle nudge started to go to like, okay, now I'm sneaking off and going to this, and now I'm
Right.
doing this, and now I'm watching this. This is something I've confessed to my wife about and I've talked to her about. We've
Yeah.
expressed to each other. But then I'm realizing like, all right, now the first reaction was I gotta hide it because I built this idea up of Dezzy Yates being this Christian rapper and
But
all this, that.
but also, obviously,
Mhm.
we felt that that's what we were supposed to do.
Mhm.
Going back to when we was kids,
Yep.
we gotta hide it.
Mhm.
You know, you you say you try to bring it out in the church, and they're like, nope, we don't want that. Keep that in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, bro, bring it. It's a thing of where we want to be open and be honest
Mm-hmm.
with it, but we're so used to that's something that you hide, you know.
Bro, come on.
That's something that you know you don't tell everybody about.
Mm-hmm.
And so luckily you have your wife that you can talk to about. Luckily I have my wife also. So, you know, thank you to your wife and my wife, you know, and other, you know, good spouses out there
Mm-hmm.
that you know have that open dialogue and those open conversations, how hard they might be. It's nice to have that person that you lay with, that you can have those tough conversations with for real.
Man, she was there
Because
for me. It was,
that's
it
what's
was,
up.
it was, she was there. And then how I started realizing, like, it being a thorn was all the years my prayers was like, God, remove it, take this thing away, like all these different things. And it wasn't until I sat down with my wife and then even brothers like you and other people that God put into my life that as I because that was hurtful. I'm not gonna lie, because of what happened
Yeah,
with the church and what happened with other things, and it's not the church's fault, just some people.
yeah,
Um, it led me very bitter
yeah.
to the point to where like even some of the theology, because some of the theology I learned growing up made it seem like if I'm praying and it don't go away, it's because I don't have enough faith or I'm doubting, and
Mm,
it was always seemed like it was my fault. Well, guess what? I already feel that way because of the abuse that happened to me. I feel like it was my
yeah.
fault. Like everything weighed so heavy on me to where it's like, okay, so I'm the reason why all this happened. Like maybe if I wasn't so light skinned, they wouldn't have touched me, or maybe if I just was
Mm,
here, it's just the enemy was flipping all of it on my head and making it seem like it was the problem. It wasn't until like I tried fasting, I tried
yeah,
so many different things, and it wasn't until like I sat with my wife one day and just was crying and
yeah,
reading in the scriptures to
yeah,
understand like this ain't a this ain't a fruit issue, it's a root issue.
yeah.
And I'm
Come
trying
on.
to deal with the fruit of the issue. And like
Mm,
the way God was explaining it to me, and the way one of my pastor mentors out here was explaining to me is like, Des, you can cut that fruit off, you can cut it off, but in another season it's just gonna grow back.
mm,
And that's what happened in 2012. The fruit got cut, but in
mm-hmm.
2020 the fruit came back because the
Right.
root was never dealt with. And maybe it wasn't pornography, because guess what I did mention was, is during those times from 2012 to 2020, no, I wasn't running to pornography to numb things, I was running to other stuff. I was like, materialism was really bad, where I was really
Mm,
angry at my wife and was frustrated with her and was like being very nasty to her. And so
yeah,
instead of me confronting the issue of the sexual immorality and me confronting the hurt that happened, all
yeah,
these different fruits popped up. And I kept
yeah.
wanting to chop the fruit off because the people see the fruit,
Yeah.
but the people can't see the root. And so,
Okay.
you know, the relationship and the intimacy with God, that's what's been fixing it. Because
Mm.
it's spending time with Him. Because
Okay.
intimacy kills that stuff. Because, like,
Yeah.
that's all pornography is, and that's all sex outside. It's false intimacy.
Yeah.
And, and,
Yep.
and you're running to it for intimacy. You're running to all these different things. And man, God really got me one day, man. I was just like, breaking down in tears and spending time with my wife and spending time with her and spending time with my kids and just realizing like he wants to love that stuff out of me because
Yeah.
like I got all the
Yeah.
spankings and beatings in the world and that ain't fix nothing, bro.
Yeah.
Like
And see, and that's the thing, man. We think that that's our comfort, and with the porn. And see, with me, man, it was always just the thing of being over sexualized so young and seeing all of that porn and with the masturbation and stuff,
mhm,
that was like something that was like it was a comfort. It was something that I thought that that's what we were supposed to do. And then the culture that we grew up in
mhm,
over sexualizing us, with the hip hop culture, with the music videos,
mhm,
and just the mentality in the world of what a man was supposed to be doing, and all those things is piling up on me you know, and it sounds like it was piling up on you as well.
Mhm.
It at these times that we walking with the Lord and we trying to live earnest and we're trying to make sure that we are dealing with those sins. It's just we get it in our head that that's our comfort, that that's
Mhm.
going to make us feel better, that's going to be, that this is going to be okay. And looking at social media, what's going
Ooh,
on,
boy.
yeah, man, we didn't even get to that. Like the social media,
Oof.
what's on it now, man, with OnlyFans and
Bro,
just
I was going to say something about that. So I was thinking about this part, and I had to think. So one, the church is acting like this stuff is new, bro. Go
it's
back to
not.
the go back to the 1950s and 60s. They was
Yeah,
doing it back then. They just was
yeah,
shh, don't tell
yeah,
nobody. And it
yeah,
was like we didn't have stuff like they didn't have internet back then. You
yeah,
had to go out to a peep show to get it. You had to go
yeah,
get a magazine from here, or you was with
yeah,
little, y'all was playing house and hunching up the street. Like that's what y'all was doing.
yep.
But we're in a time now where, bro, so much is accessible. You ain't even got to be looking for it.
Well, on top of that, it's celebrated.
Yes.
It's celebrated. Like you said, it used to be hush hush. It used to be something that we just kept in our bedrooms.
Mhm.
Now it's literally just right there on our phones, you know,
Mhm.
and it's celebrated. I mean, and it's in every culture. I mean, you get on social media right now, depending on what your feed look like, you're gonna see at least 3 OnlyFans girls that are multimillionaires,
Mhm.
and the things that, and it's so crazy because they, like you said, they think that it's new. They think it's new. But I remember back in the day when them old heads used to be like, you know, this ain't new. History repeats itself.
Mhm.
Everything is going around. It even said in Ecclesiastics, ain't nothing
Ecclesiastes.
new
No, up underneath the
under the
sun.
sun.
Mhm.
Ain't nothing new under the sun. So, you know, you see these girls that are like getting popularity and getting paid off of sleeping with 1,000 people.
Shoot.
And I remember back in the day in the early 2000s having VHSs, you know, where girls was doing 500 men
Mhm.
in a day. So it's not that it's new; it's more accessible,
Come on now.
and we're celebrating it
Mhm.
way more than what we used to.
Mhm.
And I and I that's really why I wanted to have this pod. That's why I really wanted to sit down to let people know that it's what it can do to you.
Come
What
on
it can,
now.
whether you're walking with Jesus or you're not walking with Jesus.
It's damaging, bro.
And, and what it did to me, like I said earlier, it desensitizes you. It
Mhm.
desensitizes, I know not just me, I know other men that I've talked to as well. You lose track of what God has given us in women.
Mhm.
You lose track of how special a woman's touch is.
Mhm.
You lose track of how special sex with a woman really is. And this ain't just like on some homosexuality stuff. This is also just, I'm saying that because I literally know men to where they cannot climax unless they're touching themselves.
That's crazy.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I mean, I've had men like talk to me about this to
Mhm.
where they are so desensitized and they are constantly looking at porn to where they can only climax if they're touching themselves.
Mhm.
And with that lifestyle does come a lot of drug use. Like
Mhm.
what's going on with this P. Diddy trial, you
Mhm.
know, for him to, I feel kind of bad for him because
Mhm.
for a period of my life I was living to where I would only have sex if I had X pills, a bottle of liquor, about at least a quarter of weed, and if it
Mhm.
was some powder, I'm gonna snort some powder too. And
Mhm.
so and that was the play. If I didn't have those things, I was not having sex. And,
Mhm.
and so that goes into that goes all back to everything that happened to me as a kid and coming up.
Mhm.
So yeah, man, it's a serious thing that really needs to be talked about, really needs to be fleshed out. And so yeah, bro.
They don't know, like, I want to go to scripture. So I want to go to 1 Corinthians 6:18. And so this is one of them scriptures that's like, it punches you and it hits you. So I'm reading out of the NASB version. And so obviously, in this, the one thing I love about it is that in this particular context of Corinthians is Paul's addressing a culture that's very sexualized.
Yes.
Like they was off the chain. That gives me hope, because Paul is like dealing with a church where like he says it's actually reported that there's immorality among you. It's so bad the Gentiles don't even do it. Like they was tripping so bad. Paul had to, and so that gives me hope.
Yeah.
But one of the scriptures that sticks out to me is it says that in Corinthians 6:18, it says that obviously Paul is saying that your body doesn't belong to you. If you sum it up from 12 all the way down to 20, he says, if you've given yourself to Jesus Christ, you have now married yourself to him. Your body is not your own. And then he says, what does he say? It says, he says, flee immorality. Every other sin that a man commits is outside the body, but the immoral man sins against his own body. And it says, or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God, and that you are not your own? What gets me about that first verse, 18, is it says, first he says flee, but then he says everything we ever do with every other sin, it does something to other people. But when we sin and we do immoral sins and sexual sins, it does something to our own bodies. And that really and Paul doesn't go and explain, and you got some kooky people who try to tell the reason why and what it does, but it lets you know, like, our bodies are so precious.
Yeah.
And the intimacy that God has created between a man and a woman is so precious that when it's used outside of the context, it hurts us.
Yeah.
Own bodies are affected by it. And so the world doesn't get it. They don't understand. They're like, oh, well, it's my body. I can do whatever I want to do, and this, that, and the third. And they talk about stacking bodies up and all that. And I mean, like,
your body count. Yeah.
When I was in the world before I got saved, I was out there doing it. And it's just, when you read that, it's sobering, because you realize, like, dang, man, like, I'm hurting myself.
Yeah, right. Well, two things with that. I was reading Matthew the other night, and I think Matthew 6, the Sermon on the Mount. I find it funny, which I've heard other people say this as well. It's right after Jesus says, if something offends your eye, to pluck it out. If your hand offends yourself, cut it off. But he also says not to swear on your body, because it's not yours. Yeah, there it go. So it's not Matthew 6, it's Matthew 5, where he says 36. Thanks for finding that too. But 36, where he says, neither shall thou swear. And I'm reading the King James. I'm a King James person. I'm weird like
it's
that.
It's all good, bro.
I'm weird like that. But neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst make one hair white or black. But let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than this committed of evil. So even trying to swear on ourselves, you know how cats be trying to say, that's on me, that's on me. Jesus is saying, like, we don't even have the power to do the things that God has already planned for us in our bodies. So why do we think that we can just take our bodies and freely do what we want to do for our own pleasure? And that's what that said to me. Like, this right here, you hear it all the time. This is my temple. This is my temple. I hear cats saying that all the time, and then fire up a blunt or something. And if this is our temple, or if this is God's temple, and it's a temple, period. If this is a temple, period, shouldn't we honor it that way?
That's right.
We shouldn't just let any and every old body just muck it up. And now, the time that we're living in now, I don't know if you heard this, but they got this saying where they be like, I'm sucking the soul out of them. Have you heard this?
Oh no, that's horrible.
You ain't heard these.
I've heard some stuff like that. I've heard some crazy stuff, bro. But
Yo,
that,
so now it's like, so now it's so bad. Sexual immorality is so bad that it's not just them saying, "Oh, I got bodies" or "your body count." You know, it's literally they're bragging about sucking the soul out of a man or a woman, and that's how bad sexual immorality is. And I think, and I just feel like we really need to get back to what sex is really designed for. You
man,
know?
bro, hold on. Like, I listened to a whole sermon that helped me on that. Just
Okay.
understanding, like, what it means when the Bible says, and he knew her and she knew him, right?
Right.
You know, we understood that, like, the sex is the consummation to the marriage. That's why, like, and Paul talks about it in Corinthians, how he says the husband and the wife are supposed to constantly come back together because you're consummating your marriage, you're rejoining yourself. The act of sex is more than just physical pleasure. That's just because God is so good, he gave us that. But it's really like you're marrying yourself to that person when you do that. So you when it says Adam knew her, the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, it didn't say Adam had sex with Eve. It said he knew her.
He knew her.
And so, like, here you are going and doing this marriage act when you're not married to the person. So you're going around knowing all these people, which means you're creating soul ties with all these people. And so it's like now because that's I remember one pastor said there's no such thing as a one night stand.
No, it's not.
No, because you connected with that person. So now you laying with 20 people. You done laid with not just them 20 people, but all the other people they done laid with, and you have bound yourself to that person. And like, it's just scary when you say something like I sucked the soul out or I got the body count. It's like, yeah, you do have a body count. So when you finally marry your wife, you and all them 50 bodies is in the bed with her.
Right, exactly, bro.
And
but it's just it's where we are today and where everything is being celebrated, and it's really uncomfortable. And it's really it really is to a point to where it's uncomfortable. And just personally, just to see where it started as kids, and now it's then grew to this. You know, I remember now.
Files.
Yeah, PDF files. Yeah, PDF files is something that's talked about. But I remember back in the day, that was almost common, and it was almost common within families as well. And so now we see it on this huge level, and we wonder, why is it happening?
It's been going on.
And I think all of, I mean, of course all of it is unclean spirits, but this is the thing that I'm seeing also, is where you have these teachers that are being arrested every week for the sexual abuse that they're causing to these teenage boys. And if you look in the comments, it's like, let's go. How come my teacher ain't look like that? You know what I'm saying? And you don't realize what that can do to those young men as they get older, because like I said earlier, we are being desensitized to where everything that was special from God is watered down. And you're never satisfied with this lifestyle. You're never satisfied with that lifestyle. You're constantly, that's why you hear about these far extremes with Diddy and these far extremes in other parts of Hollywood, because your flesh is never satisfied. Ever. One little nightstand will lead to more and more, and then the one night stands, that don't do it, then you gotta go to sex parties, then after a while that don't do it, then you just
got IVs and baby oil up in yours.
keep keeping the baby oil in your travel bag. Yeah, man.
In the Louis Vuitton travel bag.
Yeah, man. And I mean, I laugh, but I'm serious, man. I feel I know where Diddy's at, and the man, if he does not find Jesus, if you do not find Jesus, if you are there, you will never be satisfied.
Never.
It's like one of the reasons I quit smoking weed is because I realized that I will never be high like how I got high when I was a kid, when I first started getting high.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that with sex also. Mm-hmm. You're never gonna have that climax that you're searching for when you're having sex outside of how God designed it.
That's right.
You're not sit there and masturbate all day long.
It's not gonna happen. And
you can sleep with all the women,
as many as you want, whatever you want. It's not gonna happen.
And you're not gonna have that satisfaction. You're not gonna have that satisfaction that you're looking for because it's outside of God. And I'm just speaking on experience.
Same here. I never did the drugs, but I know what it's like to have that body count, I guess you could say, when I'm in high school, and because of the emptiness and because of this and me chasing it, man, if I just get with this girl, or if I just get with this girl, and I think, man, as soon as I get with it, it's gonna be okay. And then you realize, like, it's like your soul just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The hole just gets larger and larger and larger. And it's like, it's like the Bible talks about it being like a broken cistern. It like never holds any water. And I mean, it wasn't until I got saved and until I got married, and it wasn't until I understood everything in its proper context that I understood what true satisfaction was. And so, like, it's some heavy stuff, bro. Like, it's crazy how the culture preaches to you and tells you that it's okay to indulge in these things, but they never tell you the ramifications of what's going to happen. They never tell you, like, we all look at Diddy, and I know he's popping up because he's popular, but I remember there was one time, like, I was in the Roots line and a bunch of other people, and he was like, man, we all doing the Diddy in our private tab. He's like, you laughing at him? He just getting caught for what you doing in the private tab. Like, yeah, and I had to think about that too, because I literally prayed for him. Like I said, I felt convicted because I was like, man, I wonder how many people's praying for bro right now, because he got caught. It's a bunch of other people doing stuff and they just ain't got caught yet. What if I got caught? Like, what if I was when I was in my heyday and I was out there like light skinned sin? And I was like,
light skin sin.
I was out there wilding. Like, man, what if I got jammed up? Like, what if like this? I never surrendered, and like it just got worse. Like, I think about what if that crossroads I had where I was in working on getting signed and like working on all that. What if I chose to not get married to my wife and go forward with what was going on? It's like, bro, I've probably been right there with him.
Yeah, and see, one is good that you realize all of that, but that's the thing with walking with Christ. Now that I'm realizing is all of those things that we went through is why Christ gets the victory.
Man, every time.
Right. It's why Christ gets the victory. It's why we can do this right here that we're doing and put it out there in hopes that, it's really going to impact somebody to, turn from what they're doing or stop somebody from living that lifestyle, because we know that Christ has did it for us. And we still have those moments of weakness, and we still have don't think I got it figured all out. Please don't, because I don't. But I have more victories than I do downfalls.
Better come on, man.
And that's because of Christ. So, to everything that you're saying about the light skin sin, you know what I'm saying? That's the first time I heard that. Yeah, man, light skin sin was out here too. But, luckily, instead of being caught, Christ gave us the strength to where we can confess.
Man, yes.
We can repent. And that is as hard as that is at times, that's better than being caught. It's better than being a total laughing stock, of some people. Like what's going on with, for example, Diddy, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, so I'm thankful for Christ for that right there. Giving me the confidence, giving me good brothers like you and Daryl to where I can confess for sure. What's up, little bro? So yeah, man. That's what I wanted to say. But you read the scripture, and like I told you in the text, Romans chapter 1.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's the one that really just, the first time that I read this, it was like, it hit me so hard. It was like God had revealed to me, like, this is where I was heading. So I'm reading out the ESV. I ain't gonna read it in the King James, but it's I'm gonna start at 18. You think 18? All right. So 18 says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth." What happened to you? What happened to us as we was kids? We was suppressing the truth. They was suppressing the truth out of us, For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world and the things that have been made, so they are without excuse. For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. That's God darkening, your heart. That's the Father. That's, you think and it says it. Let me just keep reading it, because it says it. Claiming to be wise, they became fools. 23. And exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creeping things. Therefore, God gave them up in the lust of their hearts to impurity, to the dishonoring of their bodies among themselves. I'm going to read it one more time. Therefore, God gave them up in the lust of their hearts to impurity, to the dishonoring of their bodies among themselves. 25. Because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie, and worshiped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this reason, that line, they worshiped and served the creature rather than the Creator. Yo, how much BBL are we gonna keep being? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's creation. That's not the Creator. Like BBL,
artificial, all this type of stuff. Like,
I mean, porn. Yeah. All of that is creation. That is not the Creator.
God didn't make that.
Nah, man. God did not make that. We made that out of our own lust and our own impurity.
And think about that, bro. Like, we said what God made wasn't good enough.
Right.
And out of our own darkened mind and our thoughts, we start creating all this stuff. And like you said, we worship it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know, for real, cats, if you look on their feed, that's all they looking at. That's all they looking at,
You'll never get enough of it. That's the thing. You won't.
Yeah.
You go down that road like it talks about. Like it said, and so like you said, you're in 26. For this reason, God gave them over to degrading passions, for their women exchange and natural functions for that which is unnatural. And like
Mm.
it's crazy seeing each step as you were reading it. It's like what we naturally do, and it
Yeah, man. For this reason, God gave them up to dishonorable passions, for their women exchanged natural relations for those that are contrary to nature. And we always think just homosexuality. But look what else is going on. Even with how they're doing their bodies, it's
mm-hmm.
unnatural, like we just said. So yeah, and the men likewise gave up natural relations with women and were consumed with passion for one another, men committing shameless acts with men and receiving in themselves the due penalty for their error. Now that's on homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
That right there, that's on homosexuality. I don't know how any other way you could flip that or
You
try to
can't.
make it where it's not about homosexuality, you know. But I think it's interesting how it starts with the women because growing up, that's that was the thing, two women kissing, two women, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
watching them have sexual relations and everything. And now we see where it's like where we big that up like that's okay, and now it's like we're supposed to say we're two men doing it, that's okay. And we just totally then got off the rails of what God intended. And I think it starts with our childhood and the things that we was exposed to
Mm-hmm.
get that early, way too soon. And we just have no reverence for God and how God designed us to live
Mm-hmm.
with sex. How
Mm-hmm.
God designed us to 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 act out sex with. And how Jesus talks about God designed one man and one woman to be together and become one
Mm-hmm.
together. Um, and so we just far away from that, bro. And it's and I know it makes it hard for me. I won't, you know what I'm saying, sometimes to just really stay true to where God has brought me because of those things in my past and the trauma that 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 happened back then.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, man, I have more victories because of Christ, and here now I have more victories because of Christ than I do downfalls.
Man,
So
that is a blessing, and that's the beautiful thing about it is that because of your testimony, there's so many other people who are going to be set free or even deterred from where we had to go through. And man, it's learning to walk and letting God walk with you, and then also just seeing how the enemy works. Like he's always trying to target the next generation of kids because he knows if I can get them when they're little, if I can
yeah,
wipe them out when they're younger, and
yeah,
it'll be so much easier for them to conform to that versus when they get older. When you're older, you can spot someone a mile away, but if you're young and you grow up with it, it's familiar to you. You don't know any
yeah,
better, and
yeah.
so you'll be like, "Oh, that was wrong. I didn't know that was wrong. Like I've done this my whole life."
Man, that made me think about when Jesus tells them anybody who hurts one of these little ones, it's better for you to have a millstone wrapped around your neck and go drown in the ocean. Because, like you said, they it starts young,
Hmm.
and it just and if we don't do better about being able to have those hard conversations and be truly sit down to try to understand and not just rebuke, um, it's going to continue to just stay in the dark. It's going to continue to just be hidden. It's not going to be able to come out to the light, So
Yeah, like the church. One thing that I've been vocal about recently is like we've got to have those hard conversations. Like us as the body, we can't run from it because the world is embracing it. Like you said earlier, why is the world so much more open? But they're open and then they're also twisting it and turning it and telling you, oh,
right,
it's okay, and they're petting it. It's like we got to be able to understand, like, it's got to be a safe space for us to talk about these things here,
Yeah.
and we got to have a place where people can heal. Like
Yeah.
I mean, yes, rebuke, but you also got to exhort. You got to love on people. You got to be there for them. Like,
Yeah.
you got folks that's been through. I was about to say something, but I'm gonna just be quiet. It's, no, I was just going.
No, no,
Well,
what's to say? No, say it
what I
now.
would say, man, like, okay, like people who have been victims of sexual abuse and people who have been victims of crimes or things like that, there's a significant amount of trauma they've gone through, and like we can't just pray it away. Like these
Mm.
people have got to have help, and it was like it just hurts that there are people who like go through trauma like the same level. I wouldn't say the same. I'm trying to word this away. Like how soldiers go overseas and they deal with post-traumatic stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we don't question that.
Mm-hmm.
The church tried to, but then they realized they were wrong. It's like,
Mm.
no, these people saw people die, they saw people get killed, and they have to come back and live with that. And it's
Yeah.
something that they have to process. Well, imagine you being a child and you're having your body violated and touched in a way that you have no way of explaining or processing, and it goes on repeatedly for years. That has to get processed. And it's
Yeah.
like the same way we give grace to other people who dealing with those things, we need to be open in the church. Like, okay, and maybe I would even say the reason why we might be not open is because we know what's happening inside the church and don't want to talk. So it's like it's hard to talk about when Deacon Brown over here messing with Sister So and So, but when
Yeah.
the pastor's doing this, and it's like we got to be able to create a safe space for people to come in and be like, okay, I'm hurting, and I'm dealing with this because if not, the world is going to keep on.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, come on over here. You could be whatever you want to be. You could be a fair unicorn, whatever you, I'm serious. Like, whatever you want to do, we can create it for you. It's okay. Instead of us being over here in the church and saying, you know what, um, you are hurt. Let's be what the scripture says. Weep with those who weep, mourn with those who mourn. Let's grieve with you. Like you never got a chance to grieve what happened. Let's grieve with you. Let's sit you down and disciple you, because part of discipleship ain't just teaching people how to be like Jesus, is working with them. And so like in the case of like me dealing with the things that happened to me, I don't fault the churches back then.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I wish what could have happened is that when they heard my testimony, they'd been like, "Hey, brother, let's talk with you. Are you good? Can even if I said no, I'm fine. Like, are you good?
Yeah.
Let's sit down with you. Let's talk. Let's find out some things so we can really get you healed and we can walk through it. So I'm sorry if I'm a little bit long winded, but like
No, you good. No, you good. I'm listening. I'm soaking it in. But yeah, man. But I don't know. I don't know really where to go from here. We're gonna have to clip that out. But I think we said it all as much as we could say. I think we both got a lot of things out. I think that we both shared our testimonies to the as best as Christ wanted us to. So just to end it off like this, man, what do you want to tell the people who are listening or watching who just stay tuned for this long? What's the thing you want to leave them with?
Man, there's hope. One, if you're somebody that has been a victim, maybe you're somebody that's been abused, maybe you're even doing the abusing, because a lot of times people who are doing the abusing will abuse themselves. Maybe you're watching porn or adult films. Maybe there's hope. Jesus loves you. He cares for you, and he wants to see you whole.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody about it. Like, talk to a pastor, get you a trusted friend if you're a husband, and it may be a too tough conversation for your wife right now, or maybe you're a wife and it's too hard to talk to your husband. Find you a Jonathan like David had. Find you somebody that you can talk to, that you can sit down and confess and weep with and cry about, because you're not gonna get over it by yourself. No matter how hard you try, you're gonna keep going to that private tab. You're gonna keep calling that boo thing up. You're gonna keep on doing it. It's gonna happen. And maybe you might put it to death for a year, 2 years, 3 years, like me, almost 10 years. and then something gonna come through,
Yeah.
something gonna happen, and you're gonna go right back to it. Like, you're gonna have to take the band-aid off. As painful as it is, you're gonna have to let God really work in there and get in that root. But there's hope. And that's my thing. Like, there's hope. He loves you where you are. It's
Yeah.
hope. He cares for you. He wants to see you whole. He's not gonna leave you.
Yeah, man. And I would just to add on to that, you can't clean yourself up and then come to Christ. We go to Christ dirty.
Mm-hmm.
So all the dirt, all the muck, everything that everything that you feel that you can do you can do by yourself. Like Dezzy said, is hope, and our hope is Christ. That's who cleans us up.
And
That's who gives us the strength to keep going. That's who gives us the strength to confess and bring these things out.
Amen.
I would like to say, as for me, I would like to see more people in the church, more seasoned saints to really do better at making time to listen, to really do better at walking with people, not just the same old that might have worked a few, that might have been good for some people 10, 15 years ago. We dealing with some new things, and it's a lot more people coming to Christ, like us, with our background, and the type of people that we are, that are really looking for people that's really just gonna listen, understand, walk with us, and let us be transparent and have hard conversation with us.
Come on now.
So that's what I would say. That's and anybody out there, like Dezzy said, who's going through this, confession is so freeing. It's so freeing. So yeah, find you somebody that you can confess to. Pastor, good brother like Dezzy, brother like me, that you can confess to. Amen. So it got serious, it got real. We both got transparent. If you stayed and listened, I appreciate you. And we're going to end the episode like that because Dezzy's kids are about to come in and wreck shop. So thank y'all for tuning in the second episode of Adjustments. Please like, comment, and share. And doses.